Hello. Once again, I come and I don't know exactly what's going to be said, but I feel it strongly in my heart to be here, so here I am. I think with the Ho'oponopono, well, the video where I did some of that being posted, some may have been surprised to have one image of me and then to see me claiming all of this darkness and having a little maybe cognitive dissonance with that. And it just came to me so clearly that this is just part of us being identified not only with this body but with this one lifetime. And as little grandmother says, we are Tokashila. We are the great I am. We are God and Goddess. And this is our experience that you see before you here, my experience as Teresa Ann. But it's not me. And it's really, really great to begin to recognize and see this, because then we can do things like own the darkness that comes into our world. We have these concepts and images of self that reject a whole lot. We have an idea, a funny idea, that we know who we are. And we have a sense of our own identity, and that must crack. That must, at some point, be shattered, because we are the butterfly, and that's our chrysalis. We went in there as the caterpillar, but it's butterfly time, my friends. And a lot of us are breaking out of the cocoon a bit ahead of the rest, so that we can be there to light up the sky, to fill the world with our bright colors and our light, and give all hearts hope. I don't talk about hope too much, because that can get into the whole thing of waiting for somebody to come and rescue. And that's really something that is a disease that's been inflicted on mankind. This idea that we can wait for a date like 2012, that we can wait for a savior like anybody, that we can just wait, that, or that things are too bad and too terrible and no one person could do anything about it anyway. So, and you see, all of that is because we've got mistaken identity going on. Maybe that's what I'll call this one, mistaken identity. And we've made many mistakes along the way. And you know, mistakes are fun to make, because when we make them, then we learn. If we aren't willing to make some mistakes, then we won't shoot off like a rocket. Our progress won't be as fast as perhaps our heart desires it to, because we're afraid, because we have this concept that being wrong is bad, you know, that or maybe that we'll be judged or something. And here I go again, kitty cat hairs, you know, I think they're in the air around here. We need to break out of the cocoon and start really recognizing how we limit ourselves. And identity and who am I is at the core of just everything. Now, we have times when we're more fragile emotionally, or just in our feelings. And my suggestion is to love ourselves enough that during that time, we're careful what we expose ourselves to. We don't listen to anything but the finest music. When you're feeling like that, you don't want the television or the radio or the news or anything like that on. And when you want to listen to something, if you want to be amused, entertained, distracted, let it be something like Little Grandmother. Let it be something that has the highest vibration and frequency, something that really nurtures your soul, whatever that is. And I'm not saying Little Grandmother is the one for you. She does that for me. There's a closeness there that is really stunning. I've listened to Eckhart a lot, but never felt that same closeness. And I don't need to understand it. I don't, or try to explain it, because mind is way out of its province here. We've got to give less and less reliance to the mind. Come on, that's where we've got all those nonsensical self-image ideas stored, is in mind. And it's the chrysalis that we're breaking out of, for the most part, is the mind, the 3D mind. Now we have a higher mind. And I want to say something too about the bad guys out there, okay? The dark ones, the fallen ones, let's go back behind the Illuminati. And let's just forget for the moment everybody who's wearing a human body on the earth. And let's just not get into that whole thing. But let's look at, like it says in the Bible, it's the warring between principalities and powers. It's in high places where this is going on. And so I think most of us know that we're not the only ones peopling the universe or the cosmos. And so there are others. I think that's a given. We've got to be beyond where we question that, I think. All right, so that being a given, that means there's other beings out there. We're not daily interacting with them in 3D face to face, so we're not knowing a lot about them that way. A lot of them don't occupy 3D, but the higher dimensions. And I'm sure there are plenty of 3D beings out there as well that wear different kinds of form. But let's just look at the dark ones that have been ruling the roost here for these last tens of thousands of years, hundreds of thousands. I don't know. It's been quite a long time. And see that they are an example of those who lost their way by reliance on mind. They're so very proud of themselves, of their technology, of their advancement. They're so very arrogant, a lot of them. There are even some among them, and certainly not all, but there are some that want you to believe that they're God, the God, and they want worship. Now, my opinion of that right off the bat is that that is a being that cut itself off from its direct contact to source, and so now it needs to vampirize your energy. And that's what it wants from the worship. It sucks up that energy and that sustains it. And so I'm not interested in sustaining such ones. They can go elsewhere for that. Thanks, but no thanks. There's no being wearing a body that's God. Okay? Any more than I'm God. So, and Robert Monroe has done a lot of good work. He's the one that was an advanced scout exploring the OBEs and what are the other planes and dimensions and what's there and how do you navigate and what's the point and the purpose and so on. I'm trying to think. A hemisync, I believe, is his baby. And he encountered those beings that want to be worshipped. They're not that much above us in frequency. If I was to put numbers on it, and don't trust me here, I'm just giving you opinions now. This is just me talking. I'd say they're fourth density beings. And so they are just barely above us in frequency. And not always above us either, because we go up there a lot of the time. Puppy, leave her alone. Bad dog. All I have to do is turn the camera on. You'd swear I had a 3-year-old in here. All right, so those beings have been written about, and we have all the ancient artwork and the stones and the carvings and the cave paintings and all the rest of it, showing us all different kinds of obviously otherworldly beings, or beings that don't wear a human body, although they seem to be bipedal, most of them, being here on the earth, being worshipped. We're the first bunch in history that's been convinced that they don't exist, that it's just not so, that it's myth and it's a bunch of nonsense, by primitive people who didn't know from nothing. And we bought that. Once upon a time, we bought that. And for centuries and centuries and millennia, so millennia, we bought that. But no more. It's just stupid. I mean, how, with all the evidence that's available, how could we think that these beings don't exist? And we know that DNA stuff is going on behind the scenes. We know this stuff is not being revealed to us. We're not being told, just like the Black Ops projects, the real space program, NASA's a front for, and all of it. There's so much that's going on behind the scenes that the people, the taxpayers, are funding, but not getting any of the benefit or gain from it. Instead, it's being used to keep us in check, to keep us imprisoned. And so we know we've got some pretty bad dudes running around running things. Okay, so what? I mean, don't let anything at all overwhelm you. There's something, if not in this video, then maybe in the next one, I want to read to you. And it's beautifully put by the Syrian High Council. Or maybe I'll just tell you, in the Syrian Revelations trilogy, which they dictated through Patricia Corey, in the last book, the third one, they tell you clearly, they tell us all, humans, there is nothing, there is no technology, there is nothing of any kind that can be thrown at you that you can't triumph over. Beings that took the way of mind require technology and gadgets to do what we are finding that we can do just with our biology, just with our energy being. And the ones running the show are terrified of that. And that's why they keep trying to suppress us. They keep trying to poison our bodies so that we won't make the proper connections, so that it won't all come together for us. And we will discover who and what we really are. So it's time to stop being afraid. Really stop being fearful, because fear, it's like they've got their hand right up inside your solar plexus, inside your energy body and your being. And if you are in fear, that is the doorway that you open for them to enter in and manipulate and steal your energy, of course. Now, that's not such a big bad deal. We all know about parasites. Little kids get worms. Life in 3D, the way it is right now, tends to be parasitic. So the fact that they're stealing our energy isn't like it's something out of some horror flick. As we're awakening and allowing what is to just be and quit arguing with it, number one, resisting it, running away from it, maybe that's number one, and being in fear, as we start just allowing it to simply exist and to say, okay, maybe that is, maybe it's not, I don't know, it could be. I think it's a really healthy attitude. I like the idea, like in parliamentary procedure, where you can just table a motion. If I'm reading something, and like from a trusted source, like I Am That, Nisargadatta, I bet there was probably 30 to 40% of that book that, as I read it through the first time, I just had to table it. He was telling me things that